Hello, this is Chris Kennedy with Mastering Color Grading in After Effects, and we're going to look at a new tool using different colors. An image is made from red, green and blue. That's how modern cameras capture images. But that's not how color used to be handled. When film was the primary capture medium, colors were processed using cyan, magenta and yellow. The good news for us is that we can use those controls in After Effects in Color Finesse, and it makes it look more like we're using film. As I've mentioned before, there are so many tools here and you don't have to use all of them. What I'm showing you here is one more tool that you can use. It may be a quicker way, it may be a better way, you may never need it, but knowing how to use it gives you that option. If you look over here, you can see the CMY tab, so I'll just go in there, and in the master we'll see what we've got. The usual controls that you recognize here can be used for the main grading, as always. Pedestal, gain, that's done. But instead of the usual red, green and blue controls, we have cyan, magenta and yellow. Now cyan, of course, is a slightly bluish color. If you look at the scope as I push the gain up, you can see the green and the blue go up together, because that's what cyan's made of. The magenta gain moves the red and the blue. And yellow, of course, is made from red and green. Now the other thing you'll notice as I'm doing this, if you look at the image, is small changes to these settings have huge effects on the image. So you do want to use them in small doses. Let's just look what happens if I pull the yellow gamma down though. We're still in the master tab, and just pulling that down a little has instantly created the effect that this was shot almost at night. Now I could have done that in the RGB tab by playing with the blue and the red and the green separately, but one simple slide has done that. I can look at that image, I know there's too much yellow in there, which is red and green, and I just slide it down. The other way I could do that is to go into the shadows and actually pull the yellow pedestal down, and that gives a very contrasty night look. One of the main reasons that people use CMY is if there's too much yellow in an image, or if they want to put yellow into an image. Say I wanted to make this more yellow, just push that yellow gamma up in the shadows, or even in the master I can do that, brighten it up, bring the yellow pedestal down. But you can do more subtle adjustments as well. I'll leave the master as it is and I'll just go into the shadows and play with the various controls. Because these are so sensitive and every adjustment has a large effect, I find it's generally better to work with the gamma of each color. The moment you start using the gain, you make huge sweeping changes. The same with the pedestal, it just knocks everything out to nothing. So let's have a look in the shadows here and see what happens when we use the yellow gamma. That's the effect we just talked about before. What about the magenta gamma? Now pushing that up creates that's a very old film look. But I don't want to do that too much, I'll just leave it up a little. And the cyan gamma, again if I pull that down, that creates a very rich look in the shadows. Let's go into the mid-tones. I'm going to try the yellow gamma again. And the magenta gamma. You can just see the different effects these are having on the image. It's very different to using red, green and blue. And the highlights, similar sort of thing, but it's affecting the top end. Because we're at the highlights, these don't make that much of a difference, and they're often more suited to the midtones and shadows. So I'm just going to reset all. Look at that image. This is actually a great shot, and I might not want to change anything in there. But let's imagine that I did. I might just go into the midtones and lift the magenta gamma slightly. Lift the yellow gamma and go into the shadows, and what should we do? Let's pull the cyan gamma down. There, three very small adjustments. Just an example, you could have done anything you like, and we've created a completely different image to what we started with very, very quickly. And don't forget, you still have the major tools over here if you want to make large changes to the image overall. And having done some of this, if you then want to go to RGB and do more detailed work on, say, the blue or the green or the red, you can do. That's not a problem. Let's just have a look at another clip though. Here's a fairly flat white clip of a power station, and I'm going to look at how that looks in Color Finesse and reset all, go to the CMY tab, and let's just go straight to the midtones. I'm just going to pull the cyan gamma down. You can see that sort of enriches all the reds in this image. It's quite a pleasant effect. Then go to the shadows, just have a look at the yellow, might lift the yellow gamma there. That's a very small difference, but if you look at the original, it just looks like it was shot on a fairly ordinary day, nothing special about it. Those small changes there make that look a little creepier, a little more colourful, and give it a look that you might want to apply to a whole sequence. So, when experimenting with colour correction, have a go with cyan, magenta and yellow. It's just a different way of working with colour. And in the next lesson, we'll take another look at using curves, but this time to change colours.